Welcome to this week's episode of So It's Not Just Me. I'm your host, Joanna, and today we have a brand new guest, which I'm very excited about, who is going to talk to us about their musical journey, their life, and balancing, I guess, a passion and everyday life. So, with that, I'd like to introduce my guest, Josh. Josh, can you tell us a bit about yourself?
Oh, yeah. So I'm Josh. I'm a singer. I do pubs, clubs, and all sorts of festival type events as well. Um, Generally speaking, I tend to obviously do most of my work paid. But that being said, I do occasionally take part in charity events as well. Some of which I do get paid for. A lot of the time, I'll tend to give a bit back if that's the case. Um, and I also have my original music project as well, where I write all my own songs. Obviously, I do chuck some of them in when I'm singing in pubs sometimes, but that's pretty much me.
Nice. I know that you'd mentioned previously that you've got a few albums, so we will get to that a little bit later on so I can let everyone know where we can listen to those. Do you do the music alongside like a full-time job as well, or is it solely the music that you concentrate on?
It's part time that I
Right.
work part time as well. So I work at Weatherspoons,
Oh, nice.
which, if anyone don't know what that is, that's a British pub chain where cheap and cheerful. I
It's the
like to,
best.
yeah, it's something. Yeah, that's so I do that part time, and then I sort of call myself part time with singing as well. Sometimes it feels a lot more than part time. It depends what time of year it is. Sometimes it's nothing at all for weeks, and then other times it's two gigs in one day.
Yeah. I know that when we was trying to get this arranged, it was difficult because it was around Christmas period, so it was
Yeah,
a bit
hectic.
yeah, hectic's the best word.
Yeah.
When did music first come into your life? Have you always wanted to be a singer musician, or is it something that just kind of developed over the years?
I mean, it all started when I was in secondary school. I think I was about 14 years old,
Okay.
and one of my friends played guitar, and he was like, "Oh, we should start a band." So I was like, "Okay, cool. What do I do?"
Right.
And he just said, "You should play the bass guitar." I was like, "Okay, I'll figure it out." And then eventually, I got my hands on a bass guitar that one of my other friends was actually selling, and I started learning that. That band never really went anywhere. And then another project started towards the end of secondary school, which evolved over the years. Didn't really do too much with that at first. And I basically started getting to a point where I was just playing the bass guitar for fun at home
Right.
with no real aspiration as such. I just enjoyed it. And then it was, there was a couple of bands came here and there with, different levels of commitment and aspirations with that as well. The I think the real trigger point was around COVID time.
Right.
I found myself with a bit more free time, and I just basically started trying to write my own songs. I'd done a few bits of original music beforehand,
Right.
but not really took it too seriously, if that makes sense. So that's where the original music started, and then um, I guess it must have been a couple of years later when another couple of bands had sort of been attempted and failed, and I was like, do you know what? I don't need anyone else.
Yeah.
So I started. I mean, I learned guitar a little bit alongside it, and I always sang before, but never took it seriously until sort of 2022, really. And then I just started recording bits myself, recording backing tracks, and I started doing live streams on Facebook, stuff
Right.
like that. And then with the live streams, I think somebody basically got me in touch with a pub who was after a singer, and I was like, "Yeah, that's a great idea." So I went and met the landlady, and she booked me. At which point I had a little panic of, right, now I need to go out and buy a PA system and all the different equipment that I need and try and learn how to do all of that stuff. And then that's where it all sort of started, really.
I think sometimes you just need that one person to be like believing in you and give you that break. And it's like, actually, yeah, this is something I can do. And it's like
Yeah.
pushing you to it.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's only just 2 years actually since I did my first gig on my own.
Right.
It was 2 years last month.
Can you
Um,
remember how you felt when you got up to do it for the first time?
I was pretty nervous.
Yeah.
It'd been obviously through COVID time. I'd not really performed in front of an audience for probably 4 years, if not more, and it were definitely nerve wracking, and it was a very full pub as well,
Right.
which I think if it had not been, everything would have gone completely differently. But because it was full, it just gave an energy which got me hooked straight away.
Yeah. Gives you that thrill and the
Yeah,
adrenaline that it gives you as well. To
yeah,
do you still get nervous now?
not really, not. It depends. I think the nervousness is sort of, it depends on the situation,
Right.
because if it's a new venue, then there's like a sort of, not nerves, but like I feel like I need to do well to
Right. Okay.
impress them so that they'll rebook me,
Right.
if that makes sense.
No, that makes perfect sense. Yeah.
But in terms of performance anxiety, no, not really.
Oh, that's good. That's
I've,
really
I
good.
mean, I've probably done 100, if not more, shows
Right.
since I started now, in front of audiences from as small as probably 5 or 6 people to thousands
Wow.
as well. Which, it's a big swing, and if I'm being like completely honest, it's the smaller audiences that are the hardest when it comes to nerves, because when you've got 6 people sat in front of you, you've got 6 people to make eye contact with each one.
Yeah.
Whereas if it's hundreds or thousands or whatever, any more than a couple, there's always people you can't see, and you're just always sort of glancing around the room,
Yeah.
different people, and you never focus on one person.
And those six are really engaging with you, and it's so small and
Yeah,
intimate. Yeah.
it's
It's
there's a lot of eye contact,
yeah.
which that's kind of the intimidating part of small audiences. Like if it's hundreds or more, however many people, as long as I'm not making eye contact with every single person, I just sort of, I don't know, I become separate,
Right.
if that makes sense. I don't know. It's
No,
it's
it
it's
makes
it's
sense.
weird when I think about it. It's not something I've ever really thought about, but it's different.
Yeah. It's like having a different persona as such that you
Yeah,
have to adopt to play for the different types of audiences.
yeah.
What kind of music is it that you play or sing?
Uh, all sorts is the worst answer, but the most reflective answer.
Okay.
I always get asked whenever I go to a venue, whether it's a new one or an existing venue. There's always somebody who's not seen me before, and they'll be like, "What sort of stuff do you do?" And I'm like, "All sorts, bit of everything." And they just look at me like that's the worst answer you could give. But like I say, it's the most honest answer I can give,
Yeah.
because I do all different genres, from rock, pop, country. I've even tried my hands at some other stuff, which hasn't all gone so well, but I've tried it. And then different decades, all the way back to 50s up to modern day. I think my last gig that I did, I went from an Elvis song, which came out in the 50s, I think. No, it was the 60s Elvis song. And then the next one that I did was a song by Youngblood, which literally
Right.
came out last year.
Yeah.
It's a shift, and it's an interesting balance to manage. But
But if you look at your, just for example, like a Spotify playlist,
yeah,
if you like, if I brought mine up right now, I have everything from Riley Green to Metallica, again, Youngblood, the Backstreet Boys, you name it, it is on this playlist. So
yeah,
if you're,
mine's like that.
yeah, if you're enjoying all these different genres of music, then why wouldn't you want to perform all the different ones?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I tend to put my own spin on things that are a bit out of my comfort zone.
Right.
For example, I've done some songs by Adele. There's a couple of Adele songs that I've done. Some are better than others. But I've sort of, obviously, I can't sing like Adele.
No.
She's got a phenomenal voice. I could not do it justice how she does it. So I just sort of look at the songs and I'm like, how can I do it and make it my own?
I feel like that's a skill in itself in is turning these songs. It's like when these bands go on like live lounge and things and they completely take a song back to its bare bones and recreate it to their style. That's one of the most amazing gifts that somebody can have.
It's a lot easier to do if I don't know a song very well
Okay. Because you're not really
because
comparing yourself
yeah,
to,
exactly. Like if I were to look at a song that I do know very well that I'm trying to put my own spin on, it's a lot harder because I know how it's meant to sound.
yeah.
Whereas if it's a song that I've never really listened to before, trying it out, I just literally get up the lyrics, figure out what chords it is, and then I just once I've got to a sort of foundation point, I'm just like, right, how do I want to build it up? And I never start with the same process. It's it can be guitar first, it can be a vocal melody which I've changed or come up with that I'll do first, or sometimes even the drums, which I'll start with. I mean that's what I did with the most recent Adele song that I did. I just had this idea in my head for the drums, and I was like, I'm gonna go and try it. And
And
then
it worked.
2 hours later, I'd got a full song recorded.
Nice.
So
Is that the same process that you use when you're writing your own songs as well? You know, you put down the guitar or the drums first or the lyrics and then fit everything around it.
uh, I with my original stuff, it's similar, I think, but not quite the same. Like I'll sometimes come up with. Usually, I'll start on either piano or guitar parts. Usually, it's on guitar, and if I want it to be on piano, I'll then translate it over. But I tend to start with like just a couple of guitar chords for a verse or a chorus or whatever, and then I'll start writing the lyrics. And then when I feel like I'm finished with that bit, I'll be like, right, what comes next?
Right.
And do the same process again. Start at the guitar, add the lyrics. Sometimes, it's lyrics then guitar, but when I'm starting, it generally does come with the guitar first.
When you're shifting a little bit, when you're performing, has there been like a really like the most memorable or most special moment
I'd definitely say my first time
first
performing
time?
on my own was one that I will never forget because like I said, it were very busy. Loads of family, friends all came down to see me, and there was because it was a local gig as well. And at the time, I was working for Aldi in the same village. I had people coming up to me saying, "Oh, I saw you other day
Oh,
singing. You,
okay.
you were fantastic." And I can remember the first shift I did afterwards. I came into work and like there was some of the staff members came up to me and was like, some customers came in earlier and they were telling me about they'd seen you singing. They said you were really good. I was like, wow, it's a bit strange
Yeah.
that people are talking about me, which it's 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 strange, but like it's a nice feeling.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's definitely one of the more memorable times.
On the flip side, has there been a performance where it's like everything's gone wrong and you just couldn't do anything to make it right?
Uh, Not catastrophically wrong. There's been performances where I've had issues,
Right.
but generally I've never had anything that's been sort of end game, you know,
It's
That's
always something
sort
that
of
sticks
finished
with
me
you.
off. Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's one gig I can remember where a couple of things all went wrong at the same time. I was performing Kim Wilde, Kids in America,
Okay, yeah.
and I was playing my guitar, singing, and I snapped a guitar string.
Oh,
But I've got a backing track, so the way I perform live is backing tracks which I've recorded. I then take out the vocals, take out the guitar or whatever it is I'm playing live, and perform my bits live to the track. So I snapped a string. I think it was in the chorus. Took my guitar off, picked up my spare guitar, put it on, with my microphone in my hand, still singing because the backing track was enough. Put my microphone back on, carried on like nothing had happened. Got to the second verse, and I just started playing guitar again, and the lyrics just went completely out of my mind.
oh,
And I was like, just playing, dead silent. I got to the chorus, carried on singing. Got to the third verse, same again. Lyrics just completely bombed out of my mind. And I stopped the track. It's one of the only times I've ever stopped a track live, intentionally at least. And I then said to everybody, I was like, really sorry about that, guys. I'm going to give that one another try later. Hopefully, I'll not snap a guitar string that time. Um, and that's definitely one of the times when stuff's gone wrong, but you just, the show must go on.
yeah,
So I
yeah.
carried on.
As you do.
I think that's probably the hardest thing that I've learned how to manage. I think it's not something you can just do. It's, you don't, I don't think you recover from something like that. You just manage it,
Right.
if that makes sense. I mean, you do
Oh, yeah,
recover, but it's more of managing it and keeping you cool, keeping going, and just getting back. And that is probably the hardest thing that
right.
I've ever had to do.
Yeah. And sometimes it will like completely throw off your game if you that
Yeah,
one thing happening because you've rehearsed so hard. You don't really rehearse for everything going wrong, or not everything,
yeah,
but a string snapping and
yeah.
forgetting
It's
the lyrics. It's
like I say, I've probably done around 100 shows in the last 2 years. That's happened once.
right.
So the only time that that's ever happened mid song is just the one time. There's been other small issues like technical issues with the guitar, but I always take two guitars
Right.
for that exact reason.
Yeah.
I get a lot of people coming up to me sometimes saying, "Why have you got two guitars?" Because one could break,
Yeah.
and I don't want to stop
Just
just because it's broken.
yeah, it makes
And
sense.
I mean, sometimes I use it as an excuse to get a few more guitars. Why not?
Yeah. Oh,
But the main reason why I, have multiple is because I like to have a backup for everything.
yeah. That makes sense. That's just being organized, being prepared. That kind of goes right into my next question, which was going to be what are some of the hardest parts. But I was wondering more like everyone sees the exciting part of being a musician and being on stage and performing, but what's like the less glamorous parts?
Uh, I mean, I really enjoy recording things. Like whenever I'm coming up with a new track, whether it's a song I've written or a cover that I'm recording to put in for my set, I enjoy it. But at the same time, after so long of doing it, I think I've got probably 150 or more songs that I've recorded.
Right,
It's probably approaching 200 now, where it's sometimes it feels a little tedious to start. Like it is, I think it's got to a point where it's the home side of it has started to really feel like a job
right,
where I have to put time in and, there's practicing. I hate practicing now. I used to love it. When I first started, I'd do a 90-minute set and I would practice 90 minutes at home multiple times a week. The last time that I the last time that I played a song through how I would perform it was last weekend when I was performing.
Right, right.
But in all fairness, I've got a few weeks off until my next show, so I can allow myself to have that. But at the same time, I need to. It's like being an athlete in a way. Like your voice is your muscle.
Yeah,
So if you don't keep using it, you lose the strength,
yeah,
and that's one of the biggest things is the endurance that you need to build up to be able to sing for sometimes over 2 hours in one day is it's not an easy thing to do. You have to really build up to it. And I think definitely the home side of recording, practicing, they can be challenging, but I definitely also feel like actually trying to contact venues to book because I don't have an agent, I do it all myself. Trying to contact people and sometimes they'll just ignore it completely. You'll message someone and be like, "Hi, I'm a singer. Can I come and play?" And they'll just be like they'll just read the message
left on red.
and that's it. That's really deflating sometimes,
Yeah,
especially when it's quiet. Like this time of year, it is quieter. So when you're messaging new venues and you just get left, it's it's hard to sort of accept that, you know, when the good times are going really good, they're fantastic, but
yeah.
there's times when it's a lot tougher and they're a bit harder because you're thinking about how good the good times are, and that's not happening now, if that makes sense.
Oh, it makes perfect. I can completely relate to that. The amount of people that, because again, I don't have an agent. This is just me. This is just not a hobby as such, but it's something that
Mm,
I am building up. And this it's the same thing. People don't know me. People don't know what I do or anything about me. So the messages I send, they can be left on read for weeks, months, and sometimes never get replied. So I can
mm,
completely understand where you're coming from with that one.
yeah, I think in any kind of self-driven kind of, like you say, whether it's hobby or not, I think people sometimes don't realize that it's a job as well.
Yeah,
Which I mean, I know I've had conversations with even family members who say I need to take my career more seriously. Like when I left Audi, I was working full time, and I left that for a part time job, and I had people telling me you need to take your career more seriously. You can't just do this all the time, and I was stubborn, and I carried on, and I did it anyway. And I look back now, and I don't think anyone would really say anything about it if in hindsight.
yeah,
But there was definitely that time when I made that jump to try and, go part time with it as kind of more than just a paid hobby.
yeah.
It became something I depend on. People were definitely skeptical. And in truth, maybe I wasn't ready to do it when I did it, but I did it anyway. And it all worked out in the end.
I sometimes think if you wait to be ready, you're never going to be ready.
100%. I agree with
That's
that.
that's my biggest thing is like if you're not you're never going to be ready for anything in life. It's like you're never going to be ready to move house. You're never going to be ready to have a kid. You're never
Mm,
going to be ready to get a new job. So just do it.
yeah.
Like
And
why wait?
that's probably the I mean it was scary when I did it.
Yeah,
Like I'd gone from earning a full-time wage monthly, depend I could depend on it. I knew I'd always have money there to the situation where when I first did it, it was in the summer and I had plenty of money. But then it got to the quieter months in January, February, March time, and things got a bit harder.
yeah,
And I just kept going with it. And that's all I could do. You've got to keep pushing. And that's all I did. I just kept sticking with it, kept going, filled my time up a bit more. You know, in the summer when I'm busy, that's when I don't record as many new songs.
right.
I tend to do that in the winter, because, well, like January, February, March, April to an extent, that's the best time for me to do it. I'm not earning when I'm doing that,
Right.
but at the same time, it still contributes.
Yeah. It's still building
So,
that muscle, like you're saying, is
yeah,
it's like the pre-workout, I guess.
yeah, it's something that's got to be done for, the summer, because if I just turn up to venues that I've done before with the same set, people have seen it, they've heard it, they're not going to be interested.
Yeah.
Whereas I chuck a new couple, it doesn't have to be a new set completely, but just chuck a couple of different songs in that I've not done before.
Change
And
it up.
yeah, I mean, I try and change it up anyway. Like, I'm very conscious about that when I'm performing at a venue that I've done before. I'll always, because I keep a track of every set list that I've ever done,
Right.
and I'll always cross check between the two and be like, how many songs am I doing different to last time? Sometimes I'll even go back two or three, depends how long it's been
Right.
between them. But that's definitely something that I think is worth doing.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Like I say, it's people don't want to listen to the same thing
No. No.
twice. I don't. That's why I keep changing it every time.
Do you think that from starting the music journey onwards is changed or shaped the person you are?
Um, I guess a little bit. I don't feel like I've changed that much as a person,
Right.
but I feel like the way that I am has probably shifted.
Okay.
Like, it's not something that I really think about that I've, oh, I've changed or anything, but there has definitely been changes that I feel, if I really think about it, have definitely had an effect.
Right.
The big one is probably financial management, because, like I said, if I'm working part time, I've got a part time wage coming in. But in the busy months, I can be doing 2, 3, 4 shows in one weekend. But then the quieter months, I can go 3 weeks without anything,
Right.
and I've got to manage that, and that's probably the biggest step that I feel like I've taken.
Yeah.
Um,
How
yeah.
how do you balance the music with your personal life? Because, like you
Um,
say, sometimes you've got three, four shows over a weekend, but the rest of the quiet months you haven't got anything. But on those weekends when you've got a lot going on, how do you then balance that? Because I hope you don't mind me saying, but you've got like a young family, and how do you balance that, like work life balance?
Sleepless. Is probably I mean, I think the thing with a lot of the gigs that I do, they're sort of late night. So if I'm going out, for most shows start 7 o'clock,
Right,
8 o'clock, sometimes 9 o'clock. Usually, I'm by the time I'm setting off, it's an hour or two until my son's gone to bed. So with him particularly, I don't feel like I miss too much when I'm performing, because he's asleep for most of it anyway.
right,
By
right,
the time I get back, I just get back, have a shower, chill out, get in bed, wake up next morning with him. And like I say, even if it's 2 gigs, it's just the same again the next day. I've got the full day. I think the biggest cost is probably to my sleep
right.
in that sense, but I don't mind that.
Yeah,
There's
I'm.
plenty of time to catch up.
Oh, I wish I knew that. I don't know how to sleep for more than like 4 hours right now, so that's it's great fun.
I can relate to that today, but that's generally, I do get a decent night's sleep.
Good, good. Where does your inspiration come from when you're writing your songs?
Um, I mean, it's probably the worst time for me to talk about it now, because since I did my album 2 years ago, I've not really written all that much.
Okay,
Um, but generally, it's all from personal experience,
right,
or at least it is when I'm starting out writing stuff. Like, I think when I did my first EP, for example, that was songs that I'd written with one of the members from one of my previous bands. We said I could release it, so I did. Um, my second EP was just sort of a collection of songs that I'd written from my own personal experiences. And then when it came to my album, I was sort of like, I want to make one. I've got these songs which I'd obviously written from my personal experiences, but I was like, I need something to fill it. And I sort of got it into my head that I wanted to tell a story with
Right.
this album. So the songs sort of in the middle became a bit more creatively driven, like I was telling a story, not necessarily from my own life. And I think even when I say I write from my own experiences, it's not a depiction of me as a person. It might just be one thing
Right.
that I'll start writing, and I might get to end of a line and be like, right, what rhymes with that word?
Right.
And then I'll sort of build it up from there.
And that's where the story making comes
Yeah.
in.
Sometimes there is some of my songs which are a bit more personal. They tend to come pretty naturally, very fast, and I just start, and then before I know it, it's a full song.
Right.
Sometimes it'll be a case of I'll get an idea, I'll write a little bit, I'll record what I've got. I might not come back to it for weeks. And I think that's definitely something I did with my album is a lot of the songs on there were written from my experiences. Some of them had been written or partially written from my experiences many years ago and
Right.
just never finished. And there was definitely a couple on there which had sort of come from years and years ago that I just never used. And I basically scrapped parts of it. And I think one of them, the lyrics were completely brand new.
Right.
One of them, all I did was change the second verse. Another, I think I completely rewrote the verses, but I kept the chorus. So I think it comes over time, definitely. But it depends on, like I say, if it's the situation.
Right.
If I'm just writing a song, I just write a song from what I want to.
Yeah.
If I'm working towards something, I think I force myself into pulling ideas from other things.
Right.
I don't really know what those things are sometimes, but they just sort of happen.
Yeah. Do you ever feel vulnerable when you're sharing the personal songs?
Um, I think when I'm writing them, I feel like it just sort of comes naturally.
Right.
When I'm performing them, I tend not to think about it.
Okay.
The the tougher side of it is probably when I'm sort of sharing it with family members
Right.
in particular, because I feel like, especially if it's a more emotionally driven song, and I show my mum, she sometimes she'll just reply and be like, "Are you okay?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine. It's just a nice song." She's like, "Yeah, but that's very emotional," and I'm like, "It is, but it's therapeutic in a way."
Yeah. I guess it's
Um,
good for your mental health as well to get these songs out in a way that's creative.
yeah, I think definitely there's an extent of that, and I'm not somebody who talks about their feelings very often, but I express myself through music.
Yeah.
So I think if I go to a gig, for example, and I'm in a pretty bad mood, it'll probably reflect in the songs that I choose.
Right.
'Cause a lot of the time, I will make my set up on the day, I'll think about it beforehand and I might come up with a template, but on the day I will tweak it a lot, sometimes change, sometimes start again. And like I say, if I'm in a good mood, I think that reflects as well. It really does depend on what kind of mood I'm in. I think if I'm feeling a little down, I'll try and I don't try and put some slower sad songs in, but it usually does happen.
Yeah.
Although I think more recently I've tried to disconnect myself from the set writing process
Okay.
a bit.
I guess though it comes back to our playlists. If we're in a bad mood, we don't want to listen to girly pop. We want to listen to the screaming people. We want to listen to
Yeah,
the shouting and yelling. And if you've got an outlet where you can use that, I'm saying with a podcast. If I'm in a bad mood, I don't really want to record full stop, but
mm,
I don't want to sit and do a fluffy, pretty podcast. Whereas if I'm in a great mood, I don't want to sit too much and dwell on the depressing parts of life.
yeah.
It's exactly how you make it, and I think that creating your set list on the day is a wonderful idea.
It can be. Like I say, I think I've tried to disconnect myself a little bit from it more recently,
Yeah,
but that's purely from like a professionalism side of it. I think if I try and, involve myself too much in the like how I feel in creating a set list, then it can compromise what I
I
actually
can see that.
am performing. Because if I'm feeling a bit down and I put a few sad songs in, then people are going to be like, play something a bit faster,
Yeah,
and I'm just like, okay, I see where you're coming from, and then I'll I write a set list. Doesn't mean I perform that set list. I think that's something else. You've got to be adaptable.
yeah, yeah.
But like I say, recently I've tried to think more of what's going to flow better. But I think there definitely is a factor still, even when I'm trying to disconnect myself of, you know, particularly with my original song choices. When I started, I used to do a few more than what I do now. Now I tend to limit myself to one or two.
Right.
I think they're probably where I reflect my mood more than anything nowadays. Like the covers that I choose are pretty much the same songs in a different order, or maybe a different selection, but they rotate in and out. But when it comes to me choosing my original songs, I might chuck an extra one in if I'm
Right.
feeling that way, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Looking ahead, what are you most excited about?
Um, Definitely doing a few more gigs with my band, which I've got started.
Nice.
It's one of my best friends that I've known for 10 years. We've always wanted to get something going. We've tried and failed a few times. All of a sudden, we just decided, I think it was in December, he became available, and we were just kind of like, fuck it, let's go.
Let's do it. Yeah.
And I think we had 3 weeks to rehearse a full 90-minute set, and we were like, I was at his all the time, practicing multiple times a week, to the point where by the time we did it, it was like not perfect, but we were tight enough.
Yeah.
And we just spoke afterwards and we're like, this is what we want to do. This is what I want to do. This is what he wants to do. Um, like I say, he's always been a bit more into his original stuff, and he's done a lot of bands doing that. But I think he's seen me progress on my own and thought I could do that for a bit of money as well.
Yeah.
So he's
Yeah.
a sellout, really, but so am I. I can't say anything.
You got to do what you enjoy doing, though. So if you
That's it.
enjoy changing the covers, if you enjoy doing your own bit of everything, you've got to do what you enjoy.
Yeah, and I think this is with that project in particular. I said to him, I was like, we're going to focus on doing covers for pubs. was like, but if I come round to yours and we just write a song, then we just write a song.
Yeah.
If it comes naturally, then it comes naturally. If it doesn't, then it doesn't. And I think that's kind of a mindset shift that I've had
Yeah.
recently, is not forcing myself with my original stuff, just letting it flow a bit more, which that's probably why it's slowed down a little bit. But at the same time, I look at I say real artists, like I'm not trying to do the exact same thing. But like, professional musicians that do original music for a living, they don't come out with new content every year.
No.
So why should I force myself to do that? Just because that would be better for a TikTok algorithm does not mean it'd be better for me.
Yeah. I think that's the problem nowadays is that everyone's got these 3-second attention spans and
Yeah.
they want to move on to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing before.
And music itself has sort of shifted, because, years ago people would go out and buy an album if they liked somebody.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's just singles on the radio,
Yeah.
or, if you're not constant, then you're forgotten.
Yeah.
And I just, I was concerned with it at first. I was trying, and I just got to a point where I was like, I don't want to do this, so I'm not going to bother.
Yeah. No, I completely understand that as well. Can completely relate to that. If there's This is gonna be my final question, I think. For anybody out there who is thinking about picking up a guitar, starting to sing, do something professionally, what would your advice be to get started?
Um, just do it.
Just
Yeah. I think. I mean, if you enjoy something and you want to make a career out of it, just do it. Just, maybe not quit your job and do it, but there's nothing to stop you from, like with me. I started doing it when I was full time. It was just spur of the moment,
yeah,
and then I just got to a point where I'd got a few events starting to trickle in that I was booked for, and a couple of pub gigs, and I was like, I'm just going to do it. I'll get through this month fine. After that, I don't know, but I'm just going to do it.
yeah.
So I did.
That's awesome. Absolutely awesome. Where can we find your music?
Everywhere, Spotify, YouTube, Amazon.
Nice.
It's just my name.
Awesome. If you can send me some links when we finish, I'll pop them with the
Yeah,
podcast as well. And then anyone who does want to listen is
yeah.
most welcome to.
Chuck them over to you.
Awesome. Is there anything you'd like to add before I let you go?
Don't know. I don't think so.
Awesome.
I think we've had a decent first chat.
We have, and to be fair, I do hope you want to come back at some point. We'd love to chat
I
more.
think,
And
yeah, I think
yeah,
when I've got something more I think I can talk about, then it's
yeah,
definitely. I mean, I suppose it depends on the questions, really, but I don't know. I don't know.
it's all very interesting. It all, something that I can't do is sing. I can't hold a note. I can't do anything like that. So
I mean, me neither.
hearing hearing other people who can and who have built a career and have a life around that, it fascinates me so much, and it really does interest me. So you know, I could think of 1,000 more questions to ask you, but
Well, we'll definitely give it a
we
go
haven't got all
sometime then.
day. Yeah, for sure. So for anyone who is still listening, thank you for being here, and until next time.